Welcome to Reasonably Sure. I'm Michael Schur, and you know, on the show we talk to people from every walk of life, but we are in Los Angeles, and every once in a while we have to go to the movie business, but we like to go to the movie business. Gavin Wiesen joins me. Gavin is a director. Your films, I mean, The Art of Getting By, The All-Nighter. You are somebody who writes and directs. And it's the tale of everybody who comes out here with stars in their eyes. I always like to ask this of people who do what you do. The first moment that you knew that you wanted to do it, and what the first doubt you had was about what you do.
Well, I think the first moment was maybe I wasn't even consciously aware that that's what the moment was, but The Empire Strikes Back was re-released in, I think, 1981, and I was just old enough at 6 or 7 to be getting myself to, or maybe I was 8, getting myself to the movie theater on my own, and so I started to go see The Empire Strikes Back every Friday for an entire summer, as if it was never leaving theaters. I didn't really understand that it was gonna actually one day not be there at the local theater.
And what's interesting about that, just to interrupt, is the stuff that you've done. I mean, your work and the things that you write and seem to attach yourself to are so different from The Empire Strikes Back, right? I mean, so this was just what brought you into the world of movies?
Yeah, but I think that that movie is really emotional, and it has this very, very intimate character arc for especially Luke Skywalker, and the other things that are going on with Han Solo and Leia it's elemental, and it's family, and it's siblings, and it's father issues, and it's, you know, it was dark and tragic in a way, but it was also, it had this hope that they were going to overcome these problems. And so I think there was drama in it that related to everything else I became interested in as I went forward.
And then, you know, wherever forward took you, whether it was to yesterday or to a month later, was there, which certainly wasn't a month later, but was there a point, because everybody I meet who is creative says there was a point where they said, I'm too frustrated, or I'm too scared, or I can't do this. Did you have that moment, or was this always something that you knew that was for you?
I had many moments. I didn't think that it was something I could actually do. It was a dream, and therefore it didn't feel like a reality, so I was kind of content to sort of keep it a dream, and I guess I was sort of pulled into it by other people in a way. I was forced to write my first screenplay by an old friend from grade school who wanted someone to co-write a screenplay with at 25, 26, and sort of the age where that still felt like a useful use of time to just go off and write a screenplay, and God knows what's gonna happen. And he was convinced I was the person to do it with. And so in a way, I kind of kept falling into almost unconsciously situations that put me in that position.
Where is that screenplay now?
Well, that really was interesting because it turned out really, really well. And I sort of surprised myself thinking, because my friend wasn't really a writer, so I was doing the majority of the writing and the envisioning of the story. And it turned out so well that it had all of these producers circling around it, this first thing that I had written. And it went through about a 3-year process of coming very close to getting made. And we signed an option agreement at the Cannes Film Festival with a producer. This is back in 2005.
So tell me what that means. So you go to the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
And all you have at that point is a script, right?
Right.
And so how does that work? Because not very many people watching this know much about the Cannes Film Festival.
Right. So it was sort of tangential to the Cannes Film Festival. It was a sort of a ceremonial act that the producer was making. He would host people at his house that he wanted to make movies with, or that he was making movies with, or even friends and family, and he would create this sort of week every year around the Cannes Film Festival where he would have parties at his house. And I was the project that he wanted to sign, and other producers had been circling this project, so he was sort of pulling out all the stops and had me come stay at his, estate in Cap Ferrat, and it was all super glamorous.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So and I want to put that into perspective here. So you're a young screenwriter. you're staying at a mansion in the south of France at the Cannes Film Festival with somebody who wants your project, and yet years go by, and anybody would think, oh, now I'm in, I'm made, I'm done. But years go by, and then what happens?
So he was the third producer who had made overtures like that, and 6 months or a year would go by with the other ones, and nothing happened. And so then I would be open to other people like him coming along, and we sent it out to lots of different actors, and we came very close to having an actor who, at the moment, back then was a little bit more well-known and popular, named Jesse Bradford, who's strongly considered getting involved. And we were even doing sort of unofficial auditions with really interesting young actors at the time. And they, I think, lost confidence in their own ability to raise the kind of money that they felt they needed. And it just sort of petered out. About a year after Cannes, it was clear to me that it was not going anywhere and that we were sort of ending our once exciting relationship.
Is there a day where that becomes clear, or does it just kind of slip away?
It slips away. I mean, for the most part, it slips away. There have been moments where there's a memorable turning point, where there's a conversation you can't come back from, where you sort of name the lack of movement or the lack of activity. I think what my experience on that movie that never got made was how to deal with producers and how to kind of help their excitement and their momentum and their enthusiasm along, and really play to what they need in order to do what they do, which is to go out, find the money, and to like make it their full-time job, essentially, to get this movie made. And I hadn't known that yet. I was sort of just relying on them to go do what they do and just go make it happen. And none of them really did that without me pushing it along.
And is, you know, the hardest part, I would imagine, and why so many people do persevere, is that you then start again. I mean, if you have a dry cleaner and it's not, business isn't good, there's still business, right? I mean, you still have something happening.
Totally.
You just have to move on to the next thing and see what the next one brings, right?
I did, and I think that also the lesson in this business is to have many irons in the fire, many pots on the stove, and have a lot of options. And it took me a long time to understand that too. I was all in on one project. When 3 years had gone by and the movie was really clearly not going to happen, it was devastating. It was a real blow. And then it was like completely starting from scratch. Oh, I have to go write a whole nother movie.
Right.
The good part for me was understanding that the first movie was not my original idea, and it wasn't my genesis. And so I knew that if I was really going to do this, I needed to do something completely on my own.
Get your own genesis.
Exactly.
In a way.